Electric Fire Chapter 4, Danger Awakens. Far away from Earth was the Mushroom Planet. Everything covered in nothing but mushrooms. Even mushrooms grew on top of mushrooms. It was hot, humid, and definitely a bit damp, but trudging along with a backpack was a determined man. He carrying a blue quill in a glass case that was hard to shatter. Even lightning couldn't break it. It was a new type of glass, bulletproof, even fireproof, but a sledgehammer would be able to shatter it. Inside the backpack the man carried were some science equipment left from a wreckage. It was from how he got to this state and planet. He also carried a notebook and a water bottle that was halfway full. He was trying to save his resources despite the heat of the day. The heat and loneliness made him insane. His head was shaven aside from his mustache, which were now hairs that were now edging off the sides of his face. His movements were robot-like, though this man was human. He threw a stone that he had carved to look like a face, and he'd speak to often. One last even toss and the stone fell tumbling off the sides of 3 mushrooms before it landed on another one.
Rock in essence.
Was the only thing Dr. Robotnik shouted before taking a break to get a drink of water, as he wrote in his journal.
Journal entry day 2 of my long search. I am still on this mushroom planet, but at this rate I haven't exactly changed my estimated stay. I should still be back on Earth around Christmas time, as long as I can power up the quill. Once I find a spot that isn't so humid, I can figure out how to build an aircraft, or maybe find one of those mysterious rings that had lead me into this mess. As of right now, I'm sure that alien creature or rodent is having the time of his life. He's probably been taken in by the cop he was with before I ended up here. That find may think it's been accepted into society with the humans, but little will he know that nothing lasts forever. He may think they care about him and have accepted him as a family member, but sooner or later his acquaintance won't last. Once he becomes the rust of something that was once in, he'll be forgotten and abandoned. Let it be all hugs and kisses for now, but it's just a matter of time until that rodent proves to be too much for them. Their amazement will become fear once again. It'll be back to being alone and back to hiding in the shadows. Because the reality is, freaks like that will never belong anywhere. No matter how hard they try. Only place he belongs is in my lab as a test subject. That's the end of my entry for now.
Robotnik then set his journal and bottle of water back in the backpack before trudging onward. Finding supplies was hard in the maze of mushrooms. Back in Green Hills, Maddie was in the garage. Ozzy was with her. He started to bark when Sonic got there. Omega was still charging. He wasn't online at the moment. Sonic stood by Maddie. Peering into the garage, he took notice of Omega, but Maddie tried to keep him back, thinking the Ghent robot was a danger and possibly looking for the blue hedgehog, but then there was movement in the shadows. Ozzy noticed first and ran into the garage. Rouge couldn't move when Ozzy pinned her against a wall. She was afraid, never seeing anything like this thing before. But then Maddie went up and pulled Ozzy away before Maddie turned to face Rouge. Rouge didn't say anything, but then Omega was starting to come back online. Fully charged up. Once powered up, he caught sight of Sonic, who stayed in the doorway. He was being scanned by the robot now. But then Omega fired at Sonic since he didn't recognize him, though he and Shadow looked similar, but the scan proved that Sonic wasn't his Oli. Sonic dodged the attack. He was about to attack Omega after almost getting shot by the Ghent robot, but then Shadow appeared beside the blue hedgehog in a flash of green light.
Omega, stop.
Rouge called out. Sonic was about to attack Omega, but then in a flash, Shadow appeared in front of him. Omega stopped trying to attack the blue hedgehog after Shadow arrived.
Omega, calm yourself. This blue hedgehog isn't a threat. I looked back at Sonic. I could tell he was about to fight. He stood down though. Rouge then flew over to the hedgehog.
Hi, he's actually kinda cute. Actually, Shadow, he looks similar to you.
I only shrugged and turned away. His name's Sonic. But then we all heard it. A buzzing noise or a hum in the air. It was loud, lots of them. The drones. Reinforcements. They were after me still. Sonic looked around a bit frightened. These weren't Robotnik's drones, he thought, as one got close to us. It was a military one. It had gun written on one side of it. Sonic's fur let off a bit of electricity. I was surprised when he just zapped the drone out of the sky before taking my hand and leading me to the very back of the garage before going back to close the door.